Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome.
Perfect, awesome.
I
Okay.
know that, see, you're a trader, you know, because people say the secret, they have the secret to trading, and the secret is perseverance and persistence, and you weren't going to give up getting online to talk to us today. I really appreciate you being here with our community, and nice to meet you.
Of course, it's my pleasure. I'm always happy to help other traders.
Okay, so I just want to start with, you know, I tell people not to trade while they're driving if they, you know, all the phone apps and everything. I say at least pull over if you're going to make a trade. So I want to ask you if you ever trade being a pilot when you're flying, and more importantly, does it affect the altitude depending on how the trade's going?
Honestly, I have not been piloting myself probably in more than 10 years. I got my license when I was back in college, which now is 21 years ago. And I am married to a pilot. So I travel mostly commercial now instead of private aviation. And with two little kids, don't really have the time to keep up the hobby of flying.
All right. Well, 10 years ago, maybe you weren't trading. So let's get back to the beginning of your journey and how you became involved in the markets and started trading for yourself. How long ago was that? And did you have influences or mentors or books that helped you along the way?
For sure, Dale. Well, actually, I started day trading about 2 years ago this February. But prior to that, I'd grown up in a family that had long-term investing. You know, every morning my dad would read the Wall Street Journal at our kitchen table. And I got curious when I was a little kid. I'm like, what is this? You know, what is the beta? And what's this high and the low? So I was learning about it as a little kid, but I didn't really grab the concept of it. And then in 2000, I went and I worked as a registered assistant at Smith Barney in Atlanta at the WorldCom office. And I got my Series 7 there, and I saw the devastation that happened with WorldCom when people took out money against their options to exercise to sell the stock, and then the stock dropped. And
like what people just did with Bitcoin, borrowing money to buy Bitcoin at 18,000.
Exactly. And I saw the devastation and I thought, you know what? This is great. Like, I love it, but I don't really want to deal with other people's money because I saw what had happened to them. So I went another path. I went to culinary school. I've done all sorts of different things, and I ran my own wholesale pastry business. And then slowly but surely came back to it after having our first daughter. My husband had said, well, hey, you know what, honey? I really wanted to be present, to be home for the kids. And well, one child at that time. And I thought, I just failed my French exam up here. I'm up in Quebec, and I'd done real estate before I immigrated to Canada. And I thought, well, I'm going to do real estate. And I passed my real estate exam, no problem. And then I took my French exam because you have to have French and be bilingual up here. And my first daughter had health issues, so I didn't have the time to really put in my studies full force. I was taking care of her, and I only got a 60 when I needed a 70, which is now a blessing in disguise, because really I did some soul searching, and my husband had made a recommendation saying, hey, Jane, you know, you had an amazing value trade where you took 25,000 and turned it into 250,000 in 9 months. Why don't you check out trading? And I thought, you know, you're right. I really do enjoy it, but I don't want to be more proactive. I want to get into it day to day, and I want to be looking at it every day. I don't want to just make a trade and just sit on it for 9 months and wait to see what the outcome is. And so I started doing research online.
No, you only do that to have children.
Yeah, exactly. So I started to do research online, and I came across Timothy Sykes.
Okay.
And my husband was really skeptical at first. He's like, this is almost too good to be true. What are you talking about? These returns are ridiculous. Like, there's no way that this is true. And so I did further research, and then I actually joined his millionaire trading program. I was like, I have the capacity and I have the dedication to make this happen. And so I started studying, like I said, 2 years ago, February 2015, when our first was 6 months old. And actually 3 years now. Yeah, 3 years now. 2014. And right off the bat, did not follow rules. I blew through a $6,000 account. Why? Because I was putting in an order. I'd buy something like a penny stock that was shooting up, and I had my daughter that was sleeping upstairs, and so I would put in a stop limit order, but I wouldn't leave enough space between my stop and the limit, so it would blow right past my order. I'd come back down after changing a diaper, boom, down, you know, hundreds of dollars, and just blew through that account without following any rules. So I thought, okay.
Every pro has blown an account.
Exactly. Thankfully, it was $6,000. And then I thought, okay, really, I need to, if I want to make this a profession, I need to get serious. I need to be realistic and say, I need to dedicate time to this so that I can really learn it. And I put it aside for 6 months until my little one was at daycare. That was September. And I started studying then, and I started studying the market at Open. And I started being that stock nerd that puts everything into a spreadsheet, tracking what the stocks are doing, it 3 days after they gap down or gap up, because I was really interested in gapping stocks, because obviously you're going to have a catalyst there and you're going to have the volume. And so you're going to be able to see action in those stocks through the day, which every day trader knows you need liquidity, right? Because you need to be able to get in and out. And so you want to have high volume. So you're looking for stocks like this screen right here.
Really, when they gap higher or lower, they're really giving you a message.
Right, exactly. So like these stocks right here, which this is my trade ideas screen that I look at pre-market, where it's constantly analyzing, okay, so CFMS is the biggest loser right now, and for percentage-wise for the gap, but you actually want to talk about ones that are gapping down. Well, we've got Union Pacific as the biggest dollar gapper down, so you can change it accordingly. So I'm watching the gappers throughout.
You trade both the long and short side, Jane?
Correct. Yeah, I'm not biased. I do prefer. Well, as many people will say, when you're going short, you'll see that it drops down 3 times as fast as potential long value trade, right? Because you're going to have the stops that start executing. If it's dropped down 20%, you're going to see that it's the big money houses that hold it in mutual funds and everything like that will typically dump it when it drops 20%. So you'll have an even larger momentum going with volume. And then you also have just panic selling, and you have shorters getting it. So you have all this volume on the downside selling it until it will reach a support, and then it starts to find a bottom and come back up.
You know, you sound like a very quick study. You know, most people that I talk to, before they make breakthroughs and they become consistent in making a living off the market, usually it's like a 4-year period, almost like going to college for an undergrad degree. Sounds like you did it in a shorter period of time. When did you have your breakthrough after you started to where you really were consistent? Everyone has losing days, but you know, your hit rate improved and you're really starting to make money in the market. How long did it take?
For sure. Well, like I said, I started February of 2015, blew through that account. September of 2015, started paper trading. November of 2015, I went to real money, small amounts, to build consistency and confidence. And then by January, the end of January 2016, I started to really become consistent, and I had the confidence behind me. And so that's when I started to position size up. And, you know, once I've pretty much been consistent since then. So it was really almost about a year, but it took about 6 months off.
That's really a quick breakthrough. Do you credit what you learned from Timothy Sykes for that, or do you think most of the great results that you're getting now were self-taught?
Well, Timothy Sykes with his tools definitely taught me the basics in the beginning. And then I found what really worked for me was what I always like to say, everybody has to find their own fingerprint strategy, because if you are going to trade, your risk tolerance is different from mine. Your time.
You know, the author of Market Wizards says that. I've interviewed Jack Schwager.
Yep.
And I said, what's the most important piece of advice you could give traders? And he said, quote unquote, find a style that's fits your personality.
110%. And actually, after reading his book, it inspired me to write my book, which is about predominantly female day traders from around the world.
Wow.
Which is, yeah, it's hashtag FMJ, which everybody wants to say what to their job, and trust, transition, and trade, right? So
yeah.
you have to trust yourself when you're going into it, and you have to transition slowly, and then you can go full-time into trading. So it really inspired me, because that was a book I was looking for as a woman breaking into the trading industry, because it's predominantly male. And so I thought, I want to create something that I can help all traders, but also women traders, to feel comfortable to get into it, because I feel like there's a stigma that it's a male-dominated field, so why would a woman get into it? Which is just, it's a glass ceiling mentality. There's no reason, because it's always the person.
I've interviewed many that have shattered that ceiling.
Yeah, for sure. And
you're another one, and you're helping people. Could I just ask you for a few names of who you put in your book as female
yeah,
traders?
for sure. I've got Stephanie Camerman. I have Stephanie Burke. I also have Latoya Smith. I have Jordan. I forget Jordan's last name. She's Travel Light. She travels around the world, and she's about 25 years old. I also have, let's see, I've got 7. I'm trying to think of all of them. I forgot it. Oh, wait, you know what? I got my book right here.
Well, but when you write your second edition, I have some suggestions for you.
For sure.
I think it's great. So that's kind of like your mission or your ministry, is to help women, especially that might be in the same position with maybe a child that they have to be home, and this is something that they could do while they are at home. So I commend you on that mission, and looks like you've shattered the ceiling too. So great work.
Thank you. Yeah, and actually, Trade Ideas has asked me to speak a couple times as a woman in the industry, and actually, after doing 2 seminars with them, it inspired me to set up one myself in June. So I'm actually hosting a seminar in Orlando in June, about which it has predominantly female traders speaking as well, to try to have that one-on-one capacity for women and men as well. But it's a different viewpoint. I think women are more nurturing and caring and educating about stocks. There's less ego there.
Okay. Maybe you're right.
Not every man is like that, but I think predominantly, there's more testosterone, so there's more of a thought process. I have to beat the market.
Okay, well then men have to be over 50 years old, and their T count has to be down to be more compassionate and nurturing.
Exactly.
Okay, so I qualify. So anyway, would you consider, do you look at the fundamental side of what's happening in the market? I know a lot of people say, why pay attention to fundamentals? The charts tell you everything. They're discounting mechanisms. But if you're trading stocks, you have to be aware of earnings and, certain, whether or not they're going to do a secondary offering to dilute. So what would you say your mix is between knowing the fundamentals of a company you trade along with the technicals?
Well, definitely, I will look at that as far as that morning. I'll look at the news of the stock that morning to see what the issue is. Like, I had one on my watch list this morning. And it had just had an offering. So I took it off my long, because the offering was at 11.50 and the stock itself was at 12.50. So it's going to drop down more than likely. So I'm not going to recommend it as a long. A lot of times, I've got my watch list right here. So you can see a lot of times for my longs, I'll look more at the lower float, because like I said, the shorts will drop when you have that freight train of momentum going down. It's really hard to stop a larger float stock. But if you have, in going up, like I said before, it'll go up 3 times. Well, you've got this right here. You've got the lower float stocks. So when you start to have those shorts that are getting squeezed, you have the triple the momentum on the long side as well. So I look at the lower floats for the longs and the higher floats for the shorts. And I will look at the news that morning, but a lot of times I do longer term swing value trading, like in my 401k, where I'm not monitoring it every day that much. I mean, I'll check on it maybe once a week, but those are longer picks. Like I have NVAX, which is one of my long-term picks, which it's
Do you follow Tesla, Jane?
I do follow Tesla some, yeah.
All right, because maybe we could talk about this, because I noticed with the NASDAQ going parabolic that Tesla hasn't made a new high in quite some time. It almost looks like it's a potential failing rally. And I know it's a darling stock. You know, people just love the, you know, the label of Tesla. The cars are beautiful. I'm wondering what your view might be on this particular issue here.
Tesla, I'm looking at the 1-year chart here too. It looks like it doesn't have a nice double top on it.
Yeah. And this rally looks to be, you know, with the NASDAQ, I'll look at it and say, wow, you know what? The NASDAQ's blowing off parabolically and making new highs, and yet Tesla, one of the darlings of the NASDAQ, is not making a new high with the averages. And to me, that's a sign of relative weakness. Do you see that?
Well, I also think that Tesla is going against the government in the States, right? Because the government in the States is really long biased for oil. So Tesla is competing against all of the, because I'm from Washington, D.C., right? So all the politics does
what
play.
A pearl.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, it became pretty obvious with the tariffs on washers and solar panels, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So they're doing everything to see that not solar, but electric cars will not fail, but they're going to be cut back. They're not going to advance as quickly as the government would like. The government is, in my opinion, going to regulate how quickly they will let them grow. So the same thing happened with the catalytic converter with ethanol in cars.
You go that far back. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I know a family friend that was working on that, and they had the technology in the 80s, yet we just saw ethanol happen in cars maybe 10 years ago. Why? There was the political pressure to make it happen. So I think actually 30 years ago in the 80s. So once the political pressure says, hey, we really need to go to electric, I think we're going to see it go up. And also it's not just Tesla that's electric, right? You have the Chevy Volt. Ford just came out with one. Toyota wants to come out with one. So it's just, they're the first in the marketplace in people's brains, which you always have 1 to 3 spots in someone's brain for marketing. But really, they're going to be fighting the government. Yes, it's gone up, you know, in the past year, almost $190. And it's still progressing with all the other things besides just electric cars with the solar panels, everything like that Elon Musk has going on. But it's going to be competing against the government, in my opinion. And it does look like a double top here, and it looks like it just failed resistance break at 360 as well. So it looks like it's going to sort of oscillate between 300 and 360, and in a channel right there with 60 until there's a definitive move one way or the other.
Okay, so someone in our community is saying, hi Jane, love watching your watch list videos. You also seem like such a sweet person. I'm also a female trader, getting a lot of inspiration from you. So let me ask you, much love. Let me ask you this. When you hear this from people, isn't it almost as good as a winning trade or even better?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, when I hear how I've helped inspire and encourage other traders to keep it up, I always say be kind to yourself in the process, because there's not always going to be green, happy days. There's going to be a lot of struggles. And when I hear back from people, it's energy that fuels me to keep going. Because as a mom of 2, a lot of my free time I do dedicate to helping others break through that barrier that they have with themselves, just mentally, of keeping it up. You know, it can be really devastating if you have 5 days where all of your trades seem like they're going wrong. Well, if you've written them down and you've journaled them, then you can see, okay, when did you get in? When did you get out? What was your emotions behind it? Why did you get out? Was it fear, or was it, okay,
why did you get in? What was the contingency that got you in?
Exactly, a little bit of it all, so that you know and you can understand yourself. Because it's you and the market. So you have to tackle yourself in trading and tackle yourself through the downsides as well as the upsides. You know, upsides are easy, but you also don't want to cut your winners too early. Why did you get out? Was it because you just had a target and that was it? Or you let the chart show you when to get out?
Yeah, first daylight syndrome.
Yeah.
Cut your profits short, let your losses run.
Exactly.
Jane, you know, you've been involved in the most prolific bull market in history. If they called 2000 a bubble and 2007-8 a bubble, different reasons, .com, housing. If you look at the advance that we've had on a long-term chart, the magnitude of this rally dwarfs what happened in those previous two bubbles. So let me ask you this. You've really only seen a bull market, although individual stocks that you short, you've seen bear markets within an ongoing bull market. Do you, what will you be looking for to tell you that we might be close to some type of major correction in the market?
I'd say when I start to see multiple down days, I mean, you're seeing, really don't see a lot here. The SPY, you've got NASDAQ, you've got the Russell. So you don't see it overall. You'll see that it's testing resistance, but it's not overall coming down. And to me, I do like shorting, and I will typically short or be more short biased on a daily basis than long because it goes down 3 times as fast. So I'm actually looking forward for that opportunity where there's more options to go short.
You want more binary trading.
Yeah. So,
okay, well, because you know a lot of people, you know, a rising tide lifts almost all boats. You know, so right now people feel like a genius if they're long spiders, right? But you know, you're going to have to become a little bit more professional when it's not a one-way street. I wanted to get that answer from you. And so you're going to be looking for negative action to tell you that the tone is changing. Why don't we do this now, Jane? You have a nice website. So besides being able to get a hold of you on Twitter at Jane_we, Y-U-I, why don't you show your website and tell people the best way they could get a hold of you, and that you'll even let males contact you.
Of course, of course. Oh, hold on. This gave me my, you don't want to see the back end side of it. Hold on.
Okay. And what a great interview, Jane. I'm so glad I reached out to you. Maybe you'll follow me on Twitter now.
Yeah, I already am. Okay, sorry. I have screens. I have 2 different screens, so it's like obscenely large.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay. So cjanetrade.com, and I have at the bottom of all of my watch list everything. I actually don't have it on here, I don't think. Well, I have it somewhere. But you can follow me at Instagram, Miss Airplane Jane.
Okay.
Right there.
And I noticed that your monthly fee is very reasonable.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, what is it, like $20 a month?
Exactly, and you get 3 days free. So it's not, you know, it's about helping people in an efficient manner instead of where it's $1 a day, a trading day a month. And it's more to help people, because if you want to, and here I'll go ahead and I will, I'll pull it up for today. I'll show everybody what we have in store for today as a sample, because I like to go ahead and create tools in an efficient manner to help people. So I'll give them, what are the markets doing? They're all up today, pre-market. Click for the interview today. Here's my chart where I have the longs and the shorts. And the short float volume is the volume for the day prior if there's going to be a squeeze. And the volumes, so you know what you're dealing with for supply and demand of a stock. Then I have the charts, so you can see, should be able to.
We can see.
So then you can see, you get the visual as well to understand, okay, well, why is she looking at this? And what are these lines? It's the support and the support and the resistance. Okay, so if I want to go long, maybe I'm getting
only bands, or are they moving on your charts? Bollinger Bands or moving averages?
I have the Bollinger Bands turned off right now. I have the moving averages. I like the 9 EMA and the 8 EMA. And really, on the 15-minute chart, when I see the 9 cross the 8,
Yeah.
I tend to see dramatic movement in one way or the other.
Okay, interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. So I try to make it a learning tool that's super, super affordable for everybody, because when I was getting in, and something else I have, the tools that I use, where you can see Profitly's free for that. You also have the free trading room with trade ideas. There's also trading.
I interviewed one of the principals at Trade Ideas.
Was it Dan or David? I'm good buddies with them.
Arafat?
Sorry?
What's
David?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I interviewed David. Okay, so you're associated with them too.
Yeah, they're actually they're going to sponsor the summit, which I'll pop up here really quickly. So it's going to be down in Florida, and they're a sponsor as well as TradingView. So TradingView is another great, which it looked like you were using as well.
Yeah, I use it.
So
if they want some FX coverage, tell David I'll fly down to Florida.
Sounds good. So I try to offer people a lot of free tools, free paper trading. TradingView has free paper trading, as well as Thinkorswim and interactive brokering. So I try to give people the free tools as well, so that they can break into it without a lot of expense, and they can study without a lot of expense. Oh, market's open.
Okay, well, you know what? That's a segue for a wrap then, Jane. I know you probably have some things to do. You're one of the good guys in the business. I can tell after talking to someone for about 30 minutes, and your intentions, the seeds that you're planting, that you're sowing, are very good seeds. And I know you're going to have a great harvest. I'm so glad that we had this chat today. And like it or not, you're now my trading warrior sister. So,
awesome! Thank you, Dale.
Thank you for your time today, Jane, and good hunting. And let's get back together a little bit down the road, and maybe the tone will change, and we'll get a little bit more about it. See if I'm right about Tesla breaking down. And really, you have all the skills. So
thank you so much, Dale.
I'm not worried about you. Have a great 2018. And it's my hope that every lady that you help becomes as good as you.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I really appreciate that.
All right, I had a great time. I hope you had some fun too, and good luck today, and very glad to meet you. Glad our paths crossed. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Dale. Have a great one.
You too. All right,
Bye-bye.
F.A.C.E, that's it. I thought that was a great interview. So if you're a stock trader, you know where to go now. So we'll be wrapping it up. Tomorrow I have Mark Newton from CNBC. Mark's going to be with us. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. Remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. See you in the chat room.